Hello everybody, my name is Delson Gamer, and today we are reacting to another video. It is another Johnny versus, and this is actually a Sonic Heroes. One of my favorite video games that I beat the game, but not the last episode. I never beat it the last episode because, in the, you know what I mean, after, Johnny gonna say that. So, let's get started. Let's get started, shall we? Sonic Studios.
So the Adventure series marked the end of Sonic titles being released exclusively under Sega hardware. The Dreamcast went under shortly after the release of the PlayStation 2, Nintendo GameCube, and Xbox. Sega, as a result, became a third-party company, allowing their titles to be released on multiple consoles. For Sonic, this not only meant finding a new home with the likes of Sony and Microsoft, but with Nintendo. Sonic games being released on a Nintendo console. It all started in 2002 with Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the GameCube, but in 2004, Sonic's first multi-platform game was released, titled Sonic Heroes. For this video, we're going to be reviewing the version I own, which is the GameCube version. I don't have any experience with the Xbox version, and I know the PlayStation 2 version is considered the worst with a consistently piss-poor frame rate and severe collision detection issues. Still my next Christmas gift though, right, Elliot? I love you too. Anyway, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sonic Heroes review. Just to put things in perspective here, I haven't played and fully beaten Sonic Heroes since I first got the game in 2004. In fact, the last time I touched this game was when I recorded Seaside Hill for my Countdown of Generations series of videos for the release of Sonic Generations. With my overall opinions of the Adventure series changing dramatically throughout the years, I was curious to see how my opinions would change for Sonic Heroes, if they were to change at all in the first place. Back then, I thought this game was pretty good, but thinking about it now, maybe there's a reason I haven't fully played it in over 8 years. When I first saw the cover to this game, I was pretty damn hyped. A game that focused exclusively on the main trio. Well, that's what I thought at first. But as soon as I turned the case around, I discovered that you can play as over 12 characters. Jesus Christ! Big! Oh god. Shadow? The hell? Cream the Rabbit from Sonic Advance 2? Alright. Gamma on steroids. Okay. I was both confused and anxious. With over 12 playable characters, how could they make a solid game without straining the formula to its limits?
Sorry,
Well, as soon as I popped the game in, I found out. Sonic Heroes' main focus is team-based gameplay. The 12 characters are split into 4 separate teams. There's Team Sonic, starring Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, Team Dark, starring Shadow, Rouge, and newcomer E123 Omega, Team Rose, starring Amy Rose, Cream the Rabbit, and Big the Cat, and finally Team Chaotic, starring Espio the Chameleon, Vector the Crocodile, and Charmy B. I'm gonna assume Mighty the Armadillo forgot to set his alarm clock yet again. For those of you who don't know, and I'm gonna guess it's about 3 of you at this point, Team Chaotix originated from Knuckles Chaotix, a game released for the pathetically short-lived 32X add-on for the Sega Genesis. I would have reviewed the game by now, but I don't have the cable that connects the 32X to the Genesis, and I can't find one for the life of me. I'm probably just gonna buckle down and use an emulator anyway, but that's for another time. The 4 teams pack their own separate adventures, and like the previous games, there will be times where the teams will butt heads and fight each other. However, in terms of overall story, Sonic Heroes is nowhere near as dark or serious as the previous titles. It's a very basic, cheesy, lighthearted adventure that can be summed up as such. Team Sonic are on the trail of Dr. Eggman after receiving a threat from the Doctor himself. With no time to waste, the 3 head off and hunt the Doctor down. Team Rose is looking for Cream's missing buddy Chocola Chow and Big's friend Froggy. Yep, he lost the goddamn frog again. Luckily, there's no fishing involved this time around. Thank God. Team Chaotix is on the hunt because they run a detective agency and need to pay the rent. That's it. The only team with any sort of immersive story is Team Dark. The adventure begins with Rouge sneaking into Eggman's hidden containment room where she shockingly discovers Shadow the Hedgehog inside a capsule, who apparently survived his fall from outer space at the end of Adventure 2. Also located in the room is E123 Omega, who immediately begins firing at Shadow, thinking he's one of Eggman's robots. Omega is angry with Dr. Eggman for locking him up inside this room, and wants revenge by destroying everything that represents Eggman, including the Doctor himself. Shadow, on the other hand, is suffering from amnesia. Not only does he not remember who he is, but he also doesn't remember anything from Sonic Adventure 2. So, instead of telling Shadow everything that's happened to him in the past, Rouge decides to make the 3 of them a team and hunt down Dr. Eggman. Shadow's memory loss is never addressed, and that's my biggest issue with this story. Why does Rouge, or anyone else for that matter, never explain Shadow's past to him? It's one of the only black spots I have with this otherwise simple plot. But everything is not as it seems. Throughout the 4 teams' adventures, they'll encounter Dr. Eggman multiple times, only to discover that they're robot duplicates. Oh, I'm sorry, random shadow robot. Don't you just hate when you find a robotic copy of yourself just lying on the floor for no reason whatsoever?
Yeah.
Anyway, as Team Chaotix discovers at the end of their journey, the real Dr. Eggman was imprisoned inside his own base by his own creation, Metal Sonic. who spent the entire game collecting data on all 4 teams. Metal Sonic uses this data to transform into a metallic clusterfuck sporting an extremely long transformation sequence. You can make a damn sandwich while this guy is transforming, or at the very least grab a drink with ice. You can check your email, you can post something on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, check my Let's Play channel, brain scratch commentaries, order a pizza with a side of buffalo wings, call your grandparents. My god, he's still transforming!
What? So you can see we got Sonic 06, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Heroes. Wow. Look at that. That is... There is no way you can skip cutscenes, don't you? A fucking ad. Sorry about that, people. Ads there are everywhere. Jesus, is still transforming. 43 seconds. Holy
Sonic
crap.
decides to put an end to this by transforming into Super Sonic, with Tails and Knuckles only getting these shield thingies. With the real superpower of teamwork, Metal Sonic is stopped and our heroes head off for a new adventure, and thus ending the game. Man, I love it when a Sonic story isn't so damn convoluted. It's so much easier to summarize and review. Well, actually, there is one more thing to discuss. At the end of Team Dark's story, Rouge discovers a giant room containing endless copies of Shadow robots. This makes Rouge question whether or not the Shadow that's been tagging along just another robotic clone, or the original from Sonic Adventure 2. Well, we don't find an answer to that here, that's for sure. Damn cliffhangers.
Sorry.
Overall, Sonic Heroes certainly doesn't take itself seriously, and for that, I applaud it. Sometimes you need to regress a bit when things get a bit too complicated, and I think Sonic Heroes does that well. Look, I'm all for a good written story, but in a Sonic game, I'd rather have something lighthearted and fun rather than something dark and moody. I think my favorite character in this game would have to be Omega. He's so hell-bent on taking out Eggman and his robots that he'll look for every opportunity to make fun of other robots or take shots at his own teammates for slacking off in the mission. Sonic Heroes' story isn't perfect by any means. I mean, there are times where the writing can be outright silly. Remember when I said that some teams would eventually encounter each other throughout their story? Well, sometimes the reasoning for fighting in the first place is just plain bizarre.
Sonic?
Amy, what are you doing here?
Sonic, this time there's no way out of marrying me.
She wants to physically assault Sonic just so he can marry her?
Yeah.
So we have 4 different teams. Does that mean that each team brings something completely different to the table? Well, actually, no. Each team share the exact same gameplay styles and structures, and they all go through the same amount of
but they have
stages.
different
There are no hub
difficulty.
worlds, no upgrades to collect.
Team
no
Sonic
mech
is the
shooting, no
normal,
treasure hunting
Team
stages,
Rose
no
is the
challenge garden,
easiest, and
just
Team
high-speed
Dark
platforming
is the
action.
hardest.
Thank God. I mean, did you see how long the adventure reviews were? If I had to review any more unique gameplay styles, I was gonna lose my goddamn mind.
But, John, what about...
We're not at that game yet. Please, let me bask in the moment. Teams are divided as such. First, you have your speed character, whose main focus is, well, speed. They're the fastest of the trio and can use their skills to take shortcuts or collect hidden stuff. Then you have your flight character, who can carry the team across bottomless pits and take higher routes with limited flight. And finally, you have your power character, who are not only the strongest in the team, they can also use air currents to glide to higher areas and destroy obstacles that block the path.
Yeah.
You're in control of all 3 characters at the same time. You instantly switch between characters by pressing the corresponding button on the top right of the screen, so if you see a power-up or something in midair, you simply press the correct button to switch to your flight character and take off to the sky. Throughout each stage, you can find all sorts of power-ups, like the common shield, speed sneakers, and invincibility. But the one you'll want the most is the level up.
Yeah.
Each character can level up a total of 3 times. The more you level up, the stronger the character becomes. And you're gonna need it, folks, because for the first time ever, enemies are now rocking health bars.
Yeah.
Even the most common enemy in the game will take multiple jumps or homing attacks to take down at the lowest level. To make things easier on yourself, you can switch to the stronger power character to take them out, but this only works on the small fry, because later down the road, you'll encounter giant mooks with absurd amount of health. Since enemies are no longer taken out in one shot, I feel it's a constant pace breaker, and I find myself frantically looking for level up capsules to kill enemies faster with any character. There are even times when you can't progress until you kill every enemy in the vicinity, and that just makes combat feel like an outright inconvenience to me. Each formation has their own way of attacking enemies. Speed characters can simply jump on enemies or use the homing attack, and by pressing the attack button in mid-air, speed characters can generate a whirlwind that'll disable certain enemies and make them weaker.
Yeah.
There's also the Rocket Excel attack that, well, you got me there. I never found a use for this attack. What's with 3D games having attacks I never use? It's so damn finicky and just all around useless to me. It's a shame too, because there's no spin dash in this game, which I'm sorely missing at this point because of how ineffectual this new maneuver is. Hell, I even take the somersault at this point, which is also not in this game. Flying characters can use the Thunder Shoot, which uses their teammates as projectiles to bring aerial robots down to the ground. When fully leveled up, this attack is awesome. It's extremely fast and outright destroys targets instead of just immobilizing them. Power characters are all about using physical attacks to deal massive amounts of damage. The more the character levels up, the more widespread the damage becomes. Out of all the power characters, I think I enjoy Omega the most. When he's fully leveled up, he can unleash a barrage of missiles after performing a combo that's extremely reliable and cool to look at. I'm also a fan of Big's belly flop, which is good for taking out large clusters of weak enemies. By defeating more enemies, scoring bonus points, or collecting rings, you'll build up your Team Blast meter. When maxed out, your team can perform a Team Blast attack, which not only wipes out every enemy on the screen, but depending on your team, you can experience a different after effect during the cool-off period. Team Sonic can have Sonic perform the Lightspeed attack, which is most effective with the Thunder Shoot skill. Team Dark uses Chaos Control, which not only kills enemies, but also temporarily freezes time, allowing you to take out other enemies with ease. Problem is, it also freezes progression, so there might be times where you'll find yourself stuck until the flow of time is restored. Team Rose not only gets a screen nuke, but after finishing the attack, each character levels up, scores some temporary invincibility, power sneakers, and a shield to cap it off. That's awesome. Finally, Team Chaotix, with the power of obscurity, blasts away enemies with obnoxious singing. The cool thing about this, though, is that every time you kill an enemy with this technique, you score rings, which builds up your meter. So when you find yourself surrounded with a large group of enemies, not only can you use your Team Blast attack to wipe them out, but the resulting ring bonus will immediately max out your meter again after cooling off. Team Sonic and Team Dark can perform the light dash across the trail of rings, keeping the pace up, but like last time, it can be a bit problematic. I swear, if you're not directly behind the trail of rings while performing the technique, you're not going anywhere. There's always a sense of dread that envelops me whenever I see a trail of rings over a bottomless pit, because I've had my share of deaths where the light dash did absolutely nothing. Sadly, a sloppy light dash isn't the only problem I have with Sonic Heroes. The control, the control, what did they do to you? I've commented in the previous reviews that I thought Sonic controlled beautifully in a 3D world. His top speed, his weight, his acceleration, everything. But here, someone thought the Speed Center characters weren't going fast enough because their acceleration is through the fucking roof. As a result, the control can be extremely slippery. It's very easy to lose control of yourself when going at a high speed, which can not only lead to you running into a lot of shit, but don't be surprised that the biggest culprit of your deaths is simply careening off the edge of a platform. I hate going really fast in this game. I constantly find myself jumping all over the place to regain my composure and get some decent footing. But my biggest issue here is that they fucked up something that was perfectly fine in the first two titles. The game tries to match this with very broad level design, and while I'm happy that things aren't as restrictive as Adventure 2, the control distracts me too much from really enjoying it. The only time I feel any ease with speed characters is when they're running in a straight line or passing through automatic loops. What happened here? When in the flying formation, your speed is cut tremendously. You always have to carry your teammates. Why? Why can't I control Tails and such normally and then carry my teammates when I'm ready to fly or reach higher ground? Actually, you can control them separately when your partners are immobilized. But why can't I do this at will? Yeah, it's a nitpick, but I can't help but feel they did that to put more emphasis on the speed characters, completely ignoring that they already jacked up their acceleration to ridiculous degrees. It's rather sad that I find myself switching to the power formation a lot, because not only are they the most effective with dealing with enemies, but they're also not as slow as the flying formation, while at the same time not as slippery as the speed formation. My only real issue with the power formation is the ground combat, specifically Knuckles and Omega's ground combat. When you attack an enemy on the ground, Knuckles and Omega will slide about 5 feet in front of them for each punch thrown. Now with Knuckles, you can at least smash the attack button to have him perform rapid punches and keep him steady, but Omega slides all over the place all the time. I said earlier that I love performing the missile barrage when Omega's fully leveled up, but in order to do that, I need to throw a few physical attacks before he initiates it, which means I have to do some uncontrollable sliding around some possible bottomless pits, and I hate every second of it. I also don't like that you can't switch formations in midair. I could have saved myself plenty of times if only I had the ability to save myself from certain death. I mean, you see your teammates defying physics all the goddamn time, so why can't I switch to someone who's not falling down a bottomless pit to save my life? No! Wait, I was conscious! You saw that! I'm happy that Sonic Team wanted to shift their attention solely on classic high-speed action this time around. I really am. But because they messed up one of the most important aspects of a video game, the control, I think they completely shot themselves in the foot here. Sonic Heroes contains a total of 14 stages. Think of the stage structure like a classic Sonic game. There's 7 zones with 2 acts within each of them. The 4 teams will travel through all sorts of colorful locations, beginning with a vibrant and lush seaside hill, and ending with them raiding Eggman's numerous battle stations high up in the skies. I will say now that Sonic Heroes is a gorgeous looking game. In fact, between this game and both adventure titles, Sonic
It's
Heroes
really
definitely
good.
has the better aesthetics.
I kind of like
This
it.
is a game that definitely looks like a 2D Sonic game brought into the 3D world, and I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stages is Grand Metropolis, where I believe the perfect mix of fun and challenge is met with its great level design and variety of pathways. I also get a kick out of the Egg Fleet stage, where the amount of
Egg
ways to
Fleet
get
is
to the
also,
gold ring seem
is
endless.
also
And
really
this
good.
is level design I'm looking for in a Sonic game, and for the most part, I think Sonic Heroes does that remarkably well.
Yeah.
I repeat, for the most part. While Sonic Heroes contains levels that I absolutely love, it also has a share of stages that I absolutely cannot fucking stand for the life of me.
God,
First up, we
Casino.
have Casino Park, a stage where you'll spend
I
most of your
hate
time under the
this
mercy of the level's
stage.
god-awful pinball physics.
But the
I'm not
stages
kidding.
have really good
They're
music, but the
terrible.
control.
It's bad enough that I'm not a fan of pinball to begin with, but when it controls like utter ass and have highly
Like,
questionable
it's
collision
so
detection,
slippery
there's
and
nothing but
fucking
misery up
heavy.
ahead. The camera angles are also awkward as fuck. I can't play pinball effectively like this. At least the pinball machines at Casinopolis back in Adventure 1 gave me a better view. Secondly, we have Rail Canyon and Bullet Station, two stages that love rail grinding. In fact,
Yeah.
that's what you're doing for about 75% of these levels, and my god is it aggravating. But it isn't the mere fact that
Easy,
you're
look at
grinding for
that.
most of the time. It's the shit they expect you to react to in a split second's notice.
You don't have time
Sometimes
to
you need to
react.
anticipate the rails falling off, and sometimes
fuck?
you need to switch rails before running into an oncoming hazard. Rail switching is a maneuver that I swear
Look
is
at
glitched
that.
up the ass. You have
It's not
to
the
hold
rail
control stick toward the rail
grinding
you want to
or
switch to, and
anything.
then press the
It's
jump
because
button.
you're like
But
in
too
the
many
top
times I
of
found myself flinging to the far left or right,
if you have the
completely
top
missing
of
the rail.
on the rail,
Then there are
you
times like in
you
the
can
chaotic
switch it,
zone where they
but
expect you to make
you will fall
extremely
off
specific
still.
jumps to land on platforms or rails to get things moving. Trying to manually land and jump on rails is completely nerve-wracking to me, even when in the flying formation. And this game's later half is filled to the brim with shit like this. Lastly, a lot of these stages really overstay their welcome. I mean, really overstay. Let me break it
Jesus.
down. Each team represents a different difficulty. Team Rose is considered to be the easy mode. Team Sonic is considered to be the normal mode. Team Dark is considered to be the hard mode.
Except
and Team
for-
Chaotix is just,
Well, we're
well,
gonna.
more on that later.
Yeah.
Difficulty in this game is determined by stage length and how many enemies are thrown at you. What may take Team Rose about 4 minutes to complete could take 8 minutes for Team Sonic or Team Dark to complete. Imagine this grid to be your common stage. Team Rose's goal ring will be located here, while Team Sonic's will
there.
be located here, and
And
so
there.
on and so forth. Every team won't experience the exact same obstacles and challenges, but they're still pretty damn similar. Honestly, out of all the teams, I think Team Rose has the perfect length in stages. With Team Rose, every stage will take you about 3 to 5 minutes. That's all I need. With Team Sonic and Team Dark, however,
Goddamn it,
every
Jake,
stage can be an
fuck you.
absolute marathon, and by the second half of the game, I'm completely worn out. It also doesn't help when I start encountering frustrating issues near the very end of the stage. I hated playing through Mystic Mansion as Team Sonic, because this section right here always fucks me over. Damn it, no! I have to replay the entire stage all over again. All 9 minutes of it. Team Chaotix stage length is very schizophrenic. Chaotix's stages are mission-based, with the team looking for something different within each level. Sometimes it's simple stuff, like locating a single missing Chow. Other times, however, they need to destroy or find a ridiculous amount of objects, and if you don't find them all at the end of the stage, you have to loop back to the beginning and find the object you missed. Because of that, Team Chaotix can be the absolute worst in terms of
Excuse
stage
me.
length, and it's something I can't stand doing. Now you're probably thinking, well, Johnny, if you don't like the level length of Team Sonic, Team Dark, or Team Chaotix, then just stick to Team Rose then. People, I wish I could, but there's one problem. There's a final story segment. Yeah, like in Adventure 1 and Adventure 2, there's a final story segment that unlocks when you complete the main adventure with all 4 teams and collect all the Chaos
Yeah.
Emeralds with one of the teams.
Except for that one, I
before we head
actually
into that,
didn't
let's
know
cover
that
the
there was
Chaos
a
Emeralds.
last episode.
Unlike the last 2 titles, the Chaos Emeralds are
It
integrated
shouldn't
into
put
the
it like
plot.
in the bottom
Sort
or
of.
in the
In
top
order
to make
collect
it
the
like
Chaos Emerald, you need to
then you
find a
can
special
pick it
key
and that's
located
it.
inside the
It's like
second
a
act of the zone and complete the rest of the stage without taking any damage. Then, by
But the
completing
special
stage,
stages,
you can nab the
oh,
Chaos
you're
Emerald.
gonna have fun in hell.
These special stages are horrible! In order to collect
Especially
the
in
emeralds, you have to keep your speed
Generation,
going
they
by
bring it
collecting
back,
these
but the
colorful orbs
controls are
and grab
now
the emerald before
much,
reaching the exit.
much,
The more orbs you collect,
you know.
the faster you get. You can even boost when you fill enough of the meter to get even more speed. Your obstacles are 2 things. These spike bombs that slow you down exponentially, and the worst control I've ever experienced in a Sonic
Jeez,
game.
Johnny, calm
Holy
down.
It's so slippery, it's so jittery, and it's so easy to up. If you don't collect enough orbs to reach that emerald in the first 15 seconds of the special stage, you will fail. If you're going after all the Chaos Emeralds, get them with Team Rose. Since they have the shortest stages, it'll be less painful for you to retry when you eventually mess up. You don't even get to transform into any super state when you collect all 7 emeralds. I could possibly understand that for Adventure 1 and Adventure 2, but here, I don't understand why Supersonic is still a final boss event only. But back to the last story. If you want to reach the last story segment, this means you have to travel through the same 14 stages 4 times just to get to the real ending of the game. That is bullshit. Do I have to complete Sonic 3 and Knuckles 4 times just to get to the Doomsday Zone? No, I don't. If each team's story were self-contained, that sported no stupid cliffhangers or plot elements that could only be solved by playing another character's story, then there would be no issue here. But the fact that the game requires me to play all 4 stories just to see the conclusion that could have easily fitted inside Team Sonic's story is a colossal problem. Top with the fact that a majority of Team Sonic and Team Dark stages are marathon levels, completing Sonic Heroes can be an extraordinarily tiring experience. I mentioned in the previous reviews that I had no problem playing as multiple characters to get the full story, but back then, especially in Adventure 2, characters at least had their own unique stages that created a fresh new experience. Here, every team goes through the exact same levels and the exact same boss fights at the exact same time. Monotony, thy name is Sonic Heroes! I'll say it again, I love how Sonic Heroes looks in terms of visual design and graphics. It screams Sega Genesis, and it's how a Sonic game should look in a 3D world to me. The presentation values are also pretty sweet too. The sound mixing is nowhere near as bad as it was in Adventure 2, and the lip syncing is properly fitted with the English dialogue, though the dialogue itself can be a bit irritating. Oh, I hate that line! This is the first Sonic game ever to have characters speak to each other during the course of the stage, and while it can lead to some fun little callbacks from past games, a lot of the times it's the characters pointing out the painfully fucking obvious. I also like the soundtrack, but to be honest, only a few tracks immediately popped into my head when on the topic of this game. I love the music in stages like Hand Castle, Grand Metropolis, and especially Bingo Highway, but overall, it's not something I'll listen to when I'm working on projects or other reviews. Like Adventure 2, there's also some multiplayer elements, but to me, it's nowhere near as immersive as Adventure 2 Battle. Personally, you can't even select all the multiplayer options without collecting enough emblems. Yeah, they're back too. In Adventure 2 Battle, everything was unlocked from the get-go. No need for collecting shit I wasn't interested in. Secondly, they're just not as fun. Me and my brother Elliot agreed that we had a much better time with Adventure 2 Battle's 2-player mode, and while this multiplayer has its own qualities, Adventure 2 Battle just had more to do from the start. Sonic Heroes is quite the oddball in the series for me. I love the way it looks, I think the level design can be very entertaining at times, and I like the greater focus on high-speed platforming action. But great level design doesn't mean a thing when the control is messed up, and that's what kills me the most about this game, the control. I really want to like Sonic Heroes, I really do. It has so many elements and a ton of energy that remind me of the old days, but when the control is bad, I can only deal with so much, especially when every stage can be a possible endurance test. It's pretty damn sad when the most comfortable time I can have with Sonic Heroes involves a love-starved pink hedgehog, a rabbit with an extremely annoying voice, and a big purple cat that's voiced by Duke Nukem. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm getting kind of sick of Sonic the Hedgehog, so they're gonna go, oh! Alright. I'll review the game. But I need more prep time for this one. I gotta make sure I get all of my points across for this game, so this one's gonna take a little longer than the other ones, but next time we meet, we're looking at Shadow the Hedgehog for the Nintendo GameCube. Fucker.
And that's supposed to be it on Sonic Heroes. It's a really awesome video game. The story element, they not that terrible. It's just actually basically each character, they had their own story. Like Sonic had to go to Eggman, start Eggman. Team Dark is basically the exact same, but never. Why did Shadow wanted to ask his past? Like, what is the point? And Team Rose, they just want Froggy and Chocola only, and Team Chaotic is wanted to deal with, Eggman, but with the high-pitched voice. I don't know how that actually, like, hey, that voice is so familiar. Are you Eggman? But nah, I didn't realize that there was the last episode. I didn't realize it because I was playing for that like in 2014 when I beat it, but suddenly nothing happened. It says actually in the when you're playing as a childhood that you have a screen says the last episode is unlock or get the Chaos Emerald, but A rank, What is it gonna do? A-Rank's gonna do what? It's just not like, you know. But anyway, that's the end of the video. So I will actually continue reacting to, like, you know, couples, hours, or days. So let me know in the comments. So yeah, sure. See you later.